GGRC.
Hey everybody, welcome to another QuickSave Review with me, RC, here on GGRC. Today we're going to be taking a look at Sagebrush. This just came out on the Switch, and this is a sort of, I guess, glorified walking simulator style game that is exploring the very cheery idea of a religious cult after a mass suicide. Okay, yes, very, very cheery topic to get into here. Basically, you play a character that is exploring this sort of compound where apparently this religious cult lived, and you know, sort of exploring the what the place is like after the fact. You know, it's that kind of thing. So it's got a very eerie feel to it, especially with the way the game is designed to look. It's got a very 90s 3D aesthetic to it. Everything is in first person, so you play in first person perspective, exploring this place, and it definitely has a very creepy vibe to it. I was really thinking that this game was going to have sort of a horror aspect to it when I went into it, thinking like, oh, there's going to be a monster or some kind of religious cult figure that jumps out at me and grabs me or something like that. But that doesn't seem to be the case in this game. I can't say because I haven't played it to the end. But what we're going to do here is we're actually going to start from the beginning of this game, because the game itself, the designer even says it on their Steam page. I know this is the Switch version, but on the Steam page for this game, the Steam version's been out for a while. They mentioned that the game, they're very upfront about it, is only 60 minutes to, you know, about 120 minutes, depending on how you want to play, how you explore, you know, really how you play games. I guess if you rush through it, it'll be 60 minutes. If you take your time, you get 120 out of it. So yeah, it's that kind of game. And also keep in mind when we go into it, this is a budget title. That is to say, I think it's only $6 or $7, so it's not like a really expensive game either. But I will say the aesthetic and everything that goes with it is very alluring. It's something that gives you this real eerie feeling that I haven't felt in too many games, so I think it's pretty interesting. But enough talk, enough introduction. Let's jump into the game, shall we? Okay, and you can see in the logo here for Sagebrush, you get the little upside down cross there. So, like I said, we're going to jump into a brand new game here. And let me, of course, remember to turn on the Switch audio here. Let's jump in.
I met Anne first, waiting for the bus. Normally, I avoid talking to just about anybody, but she struck up the conversation. She was so pleasant, so confident. She smiled at me as if she had known me as a kid, and we were just catching up after all these years. She told me she could tell I had a hole in my life. She knew what that was like, she said. She had also had a hole, but it was gone now. I asked her what she was selling, and she laughed and said nothing at all, that what she had to offer was free for anyone who wanted it bad enough. I asked her what had helped her. She just said, James.
James. Who could that be? Now, I want to add also that this game apparently was developed by one dude living in Ann Arbor, Michigan. That is mentioned on his the Redact website. So go Michigan people. Always appreciative to see other Michiganders making things, which is pretty cool. So Sagebrush, here's the title screen, and you're going to see as soon as we get started here. By the way, it mentions that Black Sage Ranch is 250 miles northwest of Albuquerque. Not sure that this is actually a real place. It's the site of a 1993 Perfect Heaven mass suicide. Obviously, if you guys go into 90s cult stuff and look up mass suicides, this is supposed to be sort of taken from some of those things that happened back then, because it was more of a thing back then, which was kind of crazy. So 250 miles northwest of Albuquerque is actually, it's basically the border of where Utah, and I looked this up, this is going to be your geography lesson for the day here, guys, because I found this interesting. It's actually the border between, or at least where the corners meet, of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. Everybody Google Maps if you want to check it out. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see, like, okay, this is out west somewhere in the desert, and this is what you're getting here. You're getting this like old school 3D look, which I really like. The only problem I have with it is that sometimes the aesthetic is so dark it can be really hard to see what you're doing. That's my only drawback with this. Other than that, I love the look of this because this sort of not only accomplishes that like old school PC style look of a 90s 3D explore game, like a Myst or something like that, but like look at even like the jaggedy edges of like the wood up there where it says Black Sage Ranch. Like, look at that. That looks like what it should look like in a 90s game, and this is supposed to be taking place in the 90s, which I really, really appreciate. All right, so you have the option. I like the way this starts, by the way. It starts off with the girl talking about meeting somebody, talking about James, and then you could tell that as you're going along the road, this is your car. You can see the headlights ahead of you, so you're traveling to this Black Sage Ranch. Not sure why we're here or who we are or what's going on, but apparently we are getting into check out this place to see what has gone down. So you do have the option to kind of run around, looking around here. You are going to find like an invisible wall type of situation here where if you try to go another way, the game is going to remind you like, hey, there's nothing but dirt roads and dust that way. You have to go inside. And if you decide to keep running this way, the game will block you from going that way. Invisible walls, never a favorite of mine, but at least he puts in a text dialogue box there to kind of guide you and let you know. So we know we got to get into this compound. I've already played through this part. To interact with highlighted objects, press A. So, of course, we can examine the gate. The gate won't budge. You didn't bring anything to bust through. Okay, so we can't get through there, except the car could probably bust through it, would be my guess. I don't know. Maybe. But the proper way to get in is you're going to find this little fence over here. Pro tip, everybody examine the fence. But you have no way of getting through here. So what are we going to do? I actually looked around the ground here a bit, thinking I'd find a loose tool. And then at some point I figured, another pro tip, open your trunk. And in your trunk you will find one lone thing of pliers here, or wire cutters rather. So you're going to pick those up, and you can check out your inventory with this. Made me laugh, though, the fact that you open this up in the trunk and all you see are wire cutters. There's no, like, jumper cables or anything else back there, which, like I said, really, really made me laugh. Okay. Let's head in here, and now it's letting you know you can open up your inventory and use stuff. So this is where the, sort of point-and-click adventure stuff comes in. Here we go. We want to use that, and we want to use those. There we go. We've now cut a hole in the fence. So you can see you actually do have to collect items and do things, which why I was trying to avoid calling this a straight-up walking simulator, because it's not. You are doing the things where you walk around and read stuff, but you're also interacting and trying to find objects. So there is a bit of an adventure tone to it. So we are now in the compound. And as I said earlier, I have played about 30 minutes of this already, but I didn't want to start from where I was because I felt like, I was probably already getting to the point where, it was going to be too many spoilers if I went too much further. I figured starting from the front would probably be better to see if, you guys would be interested in seeing just the first, 15 minutes of this game to see if it's for you. So you're in the compound here. You have absolutely no direction. It doesn't tell you what to do, where to go, but you can kind of run around and see what there is to do here. And this is, like I said, one of my problems with the game already. I love the look of it. I love the 90s aesthetic, but it gets so dark because you are playing at dusk, right? You're playing at a time where it's like, it is nighttime. I don't know why I'm heading here at dusk. Maybe I should come back, stay at a hotel, come back in the morning. That would probably be what I would do. But this person decided to come here at dusk. So now there's a lot of darkness going on here. You can barely see anything. So even though it doesn't tell you where to go, you are gated in this game. You cannot actually head out to any of those other places until you first explore this building. So this first building, we're gonna head in and check things out. So let's do that, shall we? So we can open the door and head in. So it's going to tell you it's too dark to read anything until you get the lights on. We're going to have to try to find, because you can even try to read the pamphlet here. No, you can't read it. So you're going to head in here. You even have a light switch. Use light switch. Nothing happens. Maybe there's a power source nearby. Okay, we'll try to figure this out here. But you are going to see there's a door here to open, and wait a minute. Oh, the generator key. Very important to get. Closing the door says open door. It should say closed door. Well, that's okay. All right, so what you're going to find in this game are these little tape decks. Once you hit these tape decks, you're going to get another one of those voice recordings. Now, I didn't talk about it while the girl was talking earlier because I didn't want to interrupt the story pacing. But what was going on there is like, what I really like about it is that they've added sort of a old school vinyl scratch type of sound to the voiceover, which I really like. The first time I heard it, I was kind of like, wow, why isn't this more clear? But then it made sense. I'm like, oh, we're playing this through a tape deck. This is what a cassette sounds like. And I was like, wow, I forgot that a cassette, cassette fidelity is not, up to snuff with what we have now in 2019. We forget these things the more technology advances. But here we go. Let's listen to this one.
Well, I had just graduated from college. I was a communications major. That part was true. So I graduated and I couldn't find a job. I had no idea what I wanted to do and got pretty depressed. My boyfriend at the time said I was holding him back and took off, so that was that. I could have moved home, but I didn't. I stayed out in California, but it's not like I had any friends there. My parents would call and I would just lie about how things were going. I didn't know what I wanted because I guess I didn't really want anything. I would wake up and just count the seconds ticking off of my life until I fell back asleep. We were all broken in some way, I think. Some more than others.
So, pretty sad story, right? And I think the story behind a lot of these people who join these cults is very similar, right? People without friends, people who need to feel like they belong to something. I wanted to point out also that what I really like about hitting those tapes and getting a little bit of story from the tapes is that, it kind of does that like black and white grayscale thing when you hit play on them and you get this really, really cool look to them. I really enjoy that. I think it's a very, very cool way to showcase, hey, you should probably pay attention to this piece of dialogue here. This game, while I love exploring it and everything like that, might be one of the other things I thought was a little silly, is that you're actually going around, and I'm not sure why these tape decks would be here with these like, full confessionals laying around. But regardless, like, it is a cool, creepy way to go about it. Go around this like abandoned compound and like find these tapes to listen to, which is kind of cool. It's one of those things where I think it may have been more effective if you're finding maybe like diary pages from somebody and you pick up the diary page and you could read along with the voice also talking maybe. But either way, I do like the approach. I think it's pretty cool. I don't really mind it being a tape deck. It doesn't bother me too much. But you can see up there, it says a perfect heaven awaits those of faith. So it is dark in here, guys. When I first came in here earlier, when I was playing this, you can find doors, you can open the doors, but again, you cannot read any of the notes. You can open doors, you can go into places like this, but you cannot see a damn thing. Like, I don't even know if you guys can make out any of the shapes on my recording equipment here. So what we're gonna do is we got the generator key already. We're gonna run out here, and we are going to head back out. There we go. And we're going to start the generator up. It lets you know that the generator is around the side over here. There is a note about that in here. So that's the thing, is like, I know the generator's there, but just so you guys know, if you're searching around looking for clues and stuff like that, there are notes around here you can read, that will kind of clue you into where things are at. So we're going to start the generator now. Turn the key, press the button, generator hums to life. So now we have a light turned on to let us know. And now if we go back in here, there you go, look at that. We can actually hit the light switch. We can see where we are. How nice is that, huh? One of the other things I thought was interesting too is that you can't use the tape deck more than once. If you miss it, you can't re-listen to it. I don't think that there's a way to go into options and re-listen to these things, which I really think that should be an option. This might actually be something I turn on a bit too. I'm going to turn the brightness up here a bit in case it gets really, really dark again. And we'll apply that. Also, at any point, if you feel like it, you can hit save and save your game. I'm probably not going to do that because I don't want to write over my current save, and we're probably not going to play as far as I got in my normal game. But you can save at any point in the game and come back to it, which I think is really, really cool. All right, so now if we go this way and we explore through this door, See that we have a kitchen, and there is a light switch. Aha! Oh my god, there's flies buzzing around the gross sink over here. Ugh. You can inspect most everything you see here. So if you examine the freezer, the interior is coated in the long dried blackened remains of various melted frozen foods. Gross. You'll find these notes, of course, too. You get the kitchen schedule, which lets you know what they're going to be eating. So you know that they were fasting on Sundays. So and Wednesday they're also fasting. Due to power outage, food stores have spoiled. We will have to replace the planned meals with canned foodstuffs and produce produce until new supplies are acquired. So one of the cool things that this game does is, you know, storytelling through these notes and everything. You got to find these notes, you got to read them, and you got to figure out what is going on with everybody. Here we go. We now have a light in the pantry here too. So this was actually one of the main stories that I did see in the game so far. Is I really like this Leonard story. So if you read the note to Leonard, says, Leonard, the pantry is not your personal snack drawer. Food is for the flock to share. If you keep stealing cookies from the storeroom, you have to answer for your crimes in the cleansing room, which just sounds scary, doesn't it? Please pray and reflect on your actions and how they harm the flock. I'm praying for you too. But what's funny is if you go in here, you're going to see a second letter up here. Read note about Leonard. Leonard hasn't heeded warnings about taking more than his share of food. He keeps swiping snacks from the storage room. Until we can straighten him out, I've decided to move his favorite foods into the farm shed and hide the key on the side of the bookshelf next to the ping pong table. Okay, so they give you a note about where things are. I'm not sure why he would write a note expressly saying where he hit a key to do a thing, but whatever. It guides the story, right? So we apparently got to find a bookshelf next to a ping pong table, right? Now, it's very quiet. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm hearing some singing. Oh, there's a record player. So as soon as we turn the generator back on, we can hear the music. Pretty wild, right? So there's a bookshelf next to the ping pong table, so we found what we need to do. Another pro tip here, guys. Oh, gate key and the farm shed key are both right here. And we're going to turn off that creepy music for sure. We're going to go over here. We are going to check out this bathroom, which I think is what this is. Because I don't think I really explored the bathroom in my game. Oop, there we go. You look tired. Yeah, we've been driving all night. There is another note, though. Bible quote. If a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days, and whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even. And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean. Wow, they're really putting her down here. And whosoever toucheth her bed shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. And whosoever touches anything that she sat upon shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water and be unclean until the even. Wow. Wow. Leviticus, by the way, for those of you keeping score. So, the other thing I was not able to find in this room is that there are paintings and stuff here. And of course, I find it right off the bat. There's the light switch. I actually searched this room for a while trying to find the light switch. I couldn't find it because I wanted to check out these portraits. But it says, the painting shows an intensely focused middle-aged man. He holds a book in his left hand. The painting seems less than professional, but the man's determination shows through. An angel walks through an empty field, his hands pressed together in prayer. And we have a painting over here that is crooked. This painting depicts an angel tenderly cradling the corpse of Jesus Christ in his tomb. So now at this point, we're going to get a map. Now with the map, basically if you hit Y, you can see where you are, which leads me to one of my other things in this game that I think it needs. I think it really needs to tell you where you are on the map when you're there. So for example, right now you could see, if you look down in the bottom center, you could see our car and you could see the fence. So we're at the community hall. You can see that's where we're at. Now, this compound isn't big enough that I think you're really going to get lost or anything like that, but I think it would be a really nice quality of life item to have if you just had like a little green dot or something like that, just to represent the player. I think that would be really, really helpful. It hasn't been a huge issue yet, but it's just something where it's like, oh, I'm looking at this. I was like, wait, where was I? Which road do I got to take? That kind of thing. We do have a pamphlet here. Have you sinned? Are you plagued by doubt? Do you fear death? Do you have the nagging feeling that your church doesn't have the answers? There is a reason. Father James can help. So we know that James must be some kind of important figure here, being called Father James. And of course, you have the bulletin board. So we're not going to go through all these. I'll leave this for you guys to read if you get to play this game, which I recommend you do because it's pretty cool. We got the gate key. So now here's the gate. And we know that we need to use... Oh, yeah, what's this one? There we go. So we are now open. So we are now free to explore. In this area here, if you look at the map, you can see that where the community hall is, there's a fence all the way around. So you cannot actually get to the farm until you find the key and actually get yourself out of there. So at this point, you could go any way you want to go, but we're going to go the way that I went in my other game, so I can give you guys, because I know where to go here to give you guys another piece of the story. I don't really want to spoil too much of this, because if you guys are interested in playing this yourselves, I don't want to take away all the surprises here. But you can see this is where people lived here, which is pretty interesting. You know, you got these old rundown motorhomes and trailers and stuff. You can see that this one has a window, so apparently we can open this one once we find the proper key for it. But where I headed to in my previous game here was the Schoolhouse, which is just up here. So what's cool though is when you get into the sunlit area here, and man, even turn the brightness up 2 notches, it still gets pretty dark in these areas over here, doesn't it? But I really like that you can look around and see all the stuff within this area. Like, for example, if we go through this broken fence area here and you head towards the middle, you can actually see the gigantic house, which is probably where Father James lives, or whoever's running this place here. You know, it's got that big deck and walk up over there. There's just a lot of good environmental storytelling here. Here's the fire pit where people probably sat around telling, I guess, scary Bible stories or something like that. And there's a house up over there. What is that? That is the rectory. And then there's the cleansing room. So I'm not going to go to the cleansing room today, guys. That's something you're going to have to explore on your own. But that is the scary place. That's the place where you go where you need to be cleansed. And that just is kind of freaky. All right, so here we are in the Schoolhouse. Let's check this out. And we do have another tape player here. But of course there's notes too. Too dark to read anything, as usual. But I think we still have the generator key, right? Yeah, so another pro tip for you guys. There is a generator on the side over here that you can use. And there we go. The Schoolhouse now has power. We can read the notes, all that good stuff. So one of the things that is a little bit annoying in this game is that when you're trying to select things to do, some like a light switch, for example, you might be like feel like you're right on it, but like it'll still not show the prompt. So like, you know, you keep going back and forth on this light switch and it keeps switching off like that. That is something I've been dealing with a little bit in this game that can be a little annoying, but it's not like a huge deal or anything. But if you go around and read these notes, you can see that there's a lot going on here. Juliet, honey, why are you so stubborn? Why do you reject the flock's love? You don't pay attention in class. So you can see that there's a story developing with Juliet where she's not completely feeling everything that's going on in this place. You could even read, let's see. Yeah, Juliet's assignment right here. You could tell that if you read all 4 of them, the question or the assignment they had was to pick a role model. She says her role model is Jesus because he is perfect and he loves everyone, wants to be more like Jesus. You can see me after class, Juliet, which they are not happy with that. They feel like she's kind of phoning it in, because if you read the other characters' books, we're not going to go through each one. You could see that all the other three are like completely bought in, and whoever they picked, they were like, oh yeah, great work. This is really, really good. It's kind of interesting. So we're going to hit one more tape deck here. Let's listen to this.
I often helped Viola in the schoolhouse. I enjoyed working with the children. We taught them reading, writing, scripture. Viola was one of the most faithful among us. If Anne was like the mother of the flock, Viola was the older sister. I remember one lecture she gave the children on the nature of hell that was so vivid, so unflinching, it had the kids in tears. I told her she was scaring them, and she said, good, they should be scared.
Well, pretty creepy, right? They should be scared. Whew. Actually, it said saved in the bottom right there, so I may have to start from this point here. It might have saved over my game, but that is okay. I don't mind going through the other places I've already gone through. But yeah, as you guys can see here, this is a very creepy, in a different way, walking simulator. I know there's a lot of simulators and Slender Man style games that come out nowadays that pretty much are on the verge of like you walking around and they just want to spook you, which is totally fine if you're into that style of game. But this offers sort of a different type of creepy vibe, and I really, really like the look of it. I love this 90s 3D aesthetic with the, aliased edges on the graphics and everything. I think it looks really, really cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing what I'm going to find in the other buildings, because I still haven't been to the farm, the cleansing room, the mines, the chapel, or the rectory. And I haven't really explored any of the housing stuff over there either. But that's all I'm going to show you guys for this quick save review here. For a cheaper game, like a $6-7 game on the Switch here, this runs really good, and I think that it's a pretty appealing game to get something that's a little bit different. I'm always a fan. You guys know me on this show. I'm always a fan of exploratory games, and that's what this game is. It is all about exploring and finding out what the story is in this weird little cult here, So I'm kind of digging this, despite its small flaws that I've already mentioned. I'm digging this, and I think it's worth checking out if you're looking for something a little bit different in your walking simulators or a little bit different in your horror games, But there you go, guys. Thank you for watching, and of course, I'll see you all next time on the next Quick Save Review. See you then.